those little messages that we get, that's usually a higher power talking to us. It's like maybe an angel, or if you believe in law of attraction, maybe it's an energy that speaks to you, that tells you, oh, you should try doing this thing tomorrow. When you have that instinct, you're very clear in your mind, oh yeah, I should do it. But then we don't act right away. Then the next day, we've lost the sense of why it was important for us to do, why it was a good idea. So for me, the longer I wait, the less likely it is that I actually am going to do it. When we do things, more things attract and come to us.
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we gotta challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and perspective at a time.
Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I am currently sitting in my podcast studio / office, which has been turned into my friend Alessandra's bedroom for the week. She's going to be staying with me for about 8 days, and we had our first night yesterday, and I just want to say it feels amazing to have a roommate for a little bit. I have about 30 minutes till I have to leave and go to group class, because group classes is something that I started doing since coming back from Bali, and I've been really enjoying it. I have been doing a mix of my own workouts and then also the group classes. There's just something about being in an environment with other people who are fired up, ready to move. And also for me, like I'm pretty much in the zone when I work out. So I don't pay attention to other people, but the fact that there's like a timer and just knowing like, okay, I have to go as hard as possible till this next thing that I got to do in this class. It's exciting. It's fun. It's fun changing up my workout routine in that way, in case that's something you want to give a try as well. I have done different ones. The F45 is the one I'm doing this week. I've done Orange Theory, and the one that I love the absolute most of all is Hardcore Fitness, which is what I did in Huntington, and they are opening a studio close to me, as in like 12-minute drive from me in February. So I'm excited to hopefully get started on that again. So fun. I'm also shooting a vlog today, a little what I eat in a day, but also just like sharing different things that I'm doing that help me with my discipline. And the reason I want this self-discipline is because that just makes me feel so good, because when we're self-disciplined, then that's when I'm good about my night routine, doing my yoga and reading before bed, which like sets me up for an incredible day the next day. And self-discipline with my food makes my body feel good. Self-discipline with my training makes my body and mind feel good. And so yeah, self-discipline is my word of this year. And so that's what I'm vlogging today. But I wanted to quickly do a little podcast episode as well, because something that has come up a lot lately for me is how when we do things, more things attract and come to us. And that's when we get into this flow, this momentum of just like good things happening, or at least the good feeling emotions are happening. We all know like that feeling of having gotten into a really good workout and diet and maybe social momentum flow, and then everything else, like we just are so much more happy when we have this like momentum going. But how do we get into that momentum is like the thing. When we're not, we're like, oh, a few months ago I was feeling so great. Like what happened since I'm not right now? And you know, it could be many things, but today I just want to share something that I feel in my life has been happening again and again and again. And that is this thing of when we do things, more things come to us. And I would love for us all to think of one thing, one area in our life that we would love to get a little bit more flow within, or we want to attract, or we have this goal that we want to manifest into our life. Think of that right now. And then I would love to ask you, what's one thing that comes to mind that you could do today? Like a simple little random thing you could do today that maybe moves you a little bit closer. And the reason I'm saying that, maybe nothing comes to you right now. Maybe you have no clue. But I think for most of us, like something pops up that we could do today. And the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like when I get an instinct to do something and I take action on it right away, oftentimes it doesn't make sense in the moment why I need to take that step, make that move in the moment. But oftentimes that is when things start to flow. When I start just, taking action here, taking action there, with these little messages, these little like instincts telling me to do things, and I just do them regardless of whether they make sense or not. And for example, if I have gotten this instinct, many times in my life this has happened, like to reach out to a photographer friend that I maybe have shot with in the past or just like wanted to shoot with, reach out to them and ask, hey, should we shoot this week? And then the day comes and we plan to shoot and I don't really feel like it, for example. If I just do it anyway because I'd had this instinct to do it, if we plan to do it, of course I'm going to do it. I'm not just going to leave him hanging. But if we then do it, oftentimes what happens is that because I had that shoot, a week later, he maybe has a client that asks him, hey, can you shoot for this brand on this day and we need 3 models or whatever. Then because I just shot with him, then he keeps me in mind and then he asks me if I want to do the job. And like if I hadn't instantly taken action on reaching out to the photographer, we would have never shot together. I would never have gotten that job, which led me to incredible experiences, which, led me to further develop my career as a model when that's what was my main focus. Or still today, things like that will happen when I have like random shoots. It's fun for me. But if I hadn't taken action in the instant that I get the idea to do something, that would have never happened. And what tends to happen for me is that once I have gotten this one shoot, then someone else sees me on that shoot, maybe on my Instagram story, and thinks of me for another shoot. And then because I do that another shoot, because they saw me on my Instagram story shooting, and then they reach out to me, ask me if I want this other job, then because I do that, I widen my portfolio, I widen my network, and I widen like my experience, and that just leads to more things. And it's like that with everything in life. This was just like a modeling example. But with dance, it's been like that. With my entire career that I'm doing today, it was this instant gut feeling that, what if I start posting workouts on Instagram? And yes, that actually took me some time to finally do, just because I was so scared of what other people were going to think of me if I started posting like motivation and workouts on Instagram. But what that eventually led to, because I had this instant gut feeling, intuition gut feeling that I should do it, then that led me to a little bit down the line start a YouTube channel and a TikTok, and really like working on eliminating this fear of judgment, which has led me to incredible just emotions and experiences in life and growth, and has developed the entire career that I have today. And so it may not be right now that you have this like instant feeling. I think I'm saying it wrong. Intuition feeling, instinct, isn't that the right word? I don't know, guys. I'm from Denmark. I still make a lot of grammatical mistakes, obviously, which let's just say is just part of the brand. It's a part of this podcast. You may have an idea of what you could do right now that would move the needle a little bit closer towards your goal, but maybe it's while you're driving, you get the intuition feeling you should call someone, or you should send someone an email, or while you're cleaning, you think of like this crazy idea to film this thing tomorrow, or to do this project tomorrow. Like something that may seem a little odd in the moment, but the cool thing is that those little messages that we get when we're in a peaceful state, when we're just like hanging out with our mind, is that that's usually a higher power talking to us. Maybe you think I'm crazy saying that. I used to be an atheist too, so if that's where you're at, like I get you. If you're a crazy believer, I get you too, because I've been at both sides of the spectrum. But my belief currently is that it's like maybe an angel or an energy. If you believe in law of attraction, maybe it's an energy that speaks to you, that tells you, oh, you should try like doing this thing tomorrow or tonight. I just hope that you decide to do it, because when you have that instinct, you're very clear in your mind, oh yeah, I should do it. But then typically what happens, if we don't act right away, then the next day we've lost this like sense of why it was important for us to do, why it was a good idea. So for me, the longer I wait, the less likely it is that I actually am going to do it. So if you get an intuition feeling to do something, do it as soon as possible. Like if it's night, if you're about to fall asleep and that's when you get the idea, which is very normal, and when we're in that state, like almost falling asleep, then plan it out. Do something so that you commit to doing the thing, because yeah, we got to push ourselves in the butt sometimes, don't we? I want to share a time in my life where I did this. I remember my agents at a time. This is back when I met my ex, who I had a beautiful relationship with. What happened at that time was that I wanted to build my modeling career. I wanted to further become more knowledgeable and better reach more people with my fitness. And I wanted to just get to the next level of my career. And I also had started opening up to words like love. And this was the first time I ever made a vision board, for real, a vision board. And I had the instinct to make a vision board, and I did that. And the compound effects of that's just crazy. My agents had sent me an audition, which an audition is never I'm so excited to go to this audition. So it wasn't like I was crazy excited, but I was I went. It was for Beachbody. And I ended up getting the callbacks and another callbacks, and I ended up getting that job. And it was one of the most fun jobs I've ever been on. And because I went to the audition, even though maybe I didn't feel like it on the day, I got the job. And during that job, I was just in the most phenomenal state. I loved it. And it just made me feel so good. And then this guy had been messaging me, and I kind of stopped replying. Then he continued to do that. And because I was in this good flow, I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I'll just meet up with him. And when we met up, I was like, oh my gosh, I really like this guy. And it ended up being a pretty damn good relationship. And I think that came from me being in a good state, actually being willing to go on this first meetup. It wasn't really a date, and I don't like going on a date. I like just meeting up, hanging out. It feels like less pressure. But I ended up doing that, and then, that built the positive energy momentum flow. And then that's also when Wilhelmina Models, who I'd reached out to 1,000 times, which was also something. It was even though I didn't hear back from them the first, second, the third time, then I still reached out the fourth time, and that's when they got back to me. It was also the time I flew to New York, met with the agent, and started that whole chapter in my life. And it's just this thing of if I hadn't gone to that audition, who knows if all these other beautiful momentum-y things had happened. And it maybe even started from me developing that vision board, because on that vision board, I made it very clear to myself what I wanted for my life to look like. And I also subconsciously or consciously knew that for me to get there, you have to take action and do the things that someone with that life would do. So I'm just sharing this because I hope that if you get these little intuition feelings that, oh, that would be cool to do, then just go do it. Doing things lead to more doing things. And I just couldn't agree more. Even if you have a certain standard in your life right now, you need a certain rate to do a certain job. Let's say you're wanting to start a business, if you haven't built the clientele, maybe even the experience to go out and do the thing that you deep down want to do, offer your things for free. Get more experience, get out there more, and just do things, first of all, to get the experience, but also just, it gets you into this flow. When you, what I was saying about doing these free shoots with photographers, if, just for fun, if I hadn't started off doing that, I would have never ended up doing any sort of kind of modeling as a career. And for example, with public speaking, that's something I want to get into this year. I'm gonna just do it for free and get the practice. And this podcast I'm doing for free because I'm practicing sharing my thoughts in a way that makes sense. And yes, sometimes I make 0 sense and sometimes I make a little sense, but I feel like the more I've been doing this, the better I've gotten at it. When I started this podcast, is it a little over 6 months ago, or 6 months ago, I think I started June 1st, which is 7 months ago, 7.5. Wow. Okay. But in those 7.5 months, I feel like I've gotten more and more comfortable with it. And it's just I'm not getting any money from this, hopefully helping people, which is for me a massive prize, but it's not even on Instagram, you can share something and then you get instant feedback from people either loving or hating it. On podcast, there's no comment section, so it's not I'm getting anything from it other than the hope that I'm helping someone and the me getting better at doing it. So conclusion is that next time you get the urge, a little voice in your head telling you, oh, I should do this, even though you question it and are why? Just do it. And for me, I've been practicing this a lot lately. So sometimes it's 5 little things in a day. And usually the things don't take more than maybe 5 minutes. It's things like writing that person an email. And oftentimes nothing comes from it. But it just feels good to do it anyway. Because who knows? It's fun to believe in miracles. It's fun to just take action. Even if it's just that's been happening too. Like when I get the urge to reach out to someone and just share some words of appreciation, like someone who's had an influence in my life, or someone who I'm just like looking up to in a certain area, or just feel that something that they shared really brought me value or put a smile on my face, then I just reach out and share that. I just think maybe you get the instinct to do that because that person today really needs a little love. They need a little support. I know on my days with everything that I do on social media, sometimes if I'm in a state where I'm like, oh, I'm not helping people, like what I'm doing isn't working. If I'm having a day like that and someone then maybe had the intuition feeling that they should reach out to me that day and share that something I had shared really brought them value, then that means more to me than like, oh, that just warmed my heart in that moment because I'm feeling a little low, and then knowing that, okay, the things I put out there, they actually do bring value. So we never know what the reason is. I just think we got to trust it. And because I'm about to work out, I just need to share that oftentimes if I don't feel like working out and I have to push my butt to get there, if I'm having a day that's, things have been going a little wrong, things happen, and I'm feeling, this is maybe not my day. If I then anyway, even though I don't feel like it, push myself to go work out, that gets me into this good feeling, flow, momentum. And from doing that, then that leads to more good things throughout that day. Then suddenly this day that maybe started off on the wrong foot or something happened that threw me off a little bit, if I then go do something that I know is going to build my momentum, it could also be going on a hike, doing yoga, whatever, morning walk. If I do something that two things lead to more good things. So if I go do workout and do something that I know will bring my mood up a little bit, bring my energy, my frequency a little bit up, sometimes like it ends up being some of the best days. It's just like that little push of doing the thing that may feel odd, maybe don't feel like doing, that is going to make us get into this flow, good feeling, momentum. And the more we practice getting good at that, the better life gets. Opportunities are limitless. And then, of course, also always listen to why things are going wrong. Like I'm really trusting, obviously practicing trusting that whenever something doesn't go wrong, like why is that? And being honest with ourselves with that. But I talk about that a lot as well. So go out today and practice this, hopefully, if you're willing. Whenever something comes to your mind, do it right away, or commit to doing it. Reach out to a friend and ask, hey, do you want to do this with me on Thursday? And then accountability buddy, and it's harder to escape when you have that. So I'm about to get ready for this workout class that I'm gonna be excited about and get into. So I hope you go out there today and do something that's going to build your flow and momentum and create a life that you absolutely love, because you deserve that. If you're new and you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoyed this podcast and you want more of it, if you want to subscribe, you want to share it with a friend, then that would be absolutely amazing as well. I'm trying to grow this thing, help some more people, and it helps me more than you know. Also, if you want to give me a few stars on that rating system in the podcast, then I highly recommend that as well. And remember, as always, in order for you to grow, you've got to challenge your norm. Mwah! Bye.